My name is Margaret Anderson. My husband and I have been married for 3 years, and we don't have kids yet. The more we want them, the harder they seem to come by. So, my husband and I live with his parents. We've been married for 3 years without having children, so living together hasn't changed that outcome. That was the reason for living with my in-laws. And my husband was the one who agreed to this nonsensical idea. We have such a big house. There won't be any problem if my parents live with us. What can you do when faced with that? Sure, there are no real issues, just a bit of tiptoeing around. But what shocked me after moving in was that my in-laws think this big house was bought solely with my husband's salary. And they think I'm paying off my credit card with his income, so they use it as they please. By the way, my husband is 30 and works a regular office job. There's no way an employee of his age could earn such a high salary. Yet, without any doubt, they believe everything he says. So, how is this possible? Because I am the CEO of a company with over 1,000 employees. But, I haven't told this to my husband. If he knew how much I make, he would totally rely on me and become a deadbeat, which is obvious. Since we got married, I've also realized that my husband is very dependent and doesn't hesitate to lie. That's why I've decided never to reveal my true self. But it's impossible to keep it a secret forever. After all, my husband works at my company. One day, my husband saw a company brochure and exclaimed with shining eyes, "Hey, it says here that you're the boss." My husband, who prefers playing over working, wouldn't normally look at such a brochure. I hadn't paid any attention to it either. But as he joyfully showed me the brochure, I was secretly panicking. So I told a painful lie. It's a misprint. A misprint? Yes, I told them to fix it, but they haven't done it yet. Why would there be a misprint? Because, you see, it's my father's company. I'm just a secretary, but the person in charge made a mistake. Oh, I see. I thought for a second you had become the president. That's too bad. If I were the husband of a president, I could live off playing. There's no way that could be true, a woman like me being a president? If I were, I'd be earning more and living a better life. That's right, a woman couldn't handle being a president. I thought my husband was truly foolish for believing such a ridiculous lie, but just this once, I was glad he was. However, his foolishness has gradually started to weigh on me. For about a year now, he's become distant. I don't know why. I loved him, and his carefree nature seemed enviable to me, someone who takes everything too seriously. And I thought he loved me too. But it turns out, I was the only one who thought so. My suspicion turned to certainty when I saw him walking cozily with a receptionist one day. I hadn't thought she was his affair partner and casually greeted them. "Oh! Margaret!" My husband's face went pale in an instant. "Why are you here?" "Wait, that surprise, could it be you?" Then the receptionist, Holly, said with a laugh. "I've got myself a company heir." "What? Who's the heir?" As I threw my question filled with confusion, my husband hurriedly blurted out. Not like the gloomy introvert, but a model-level mistress. "I love Holly, so I've decided to remarry her." "What?" I couldn't understand what he was saying. Indeed, the woman in front of me was young and beautiful, like a model. I seemed to remember my husband insisting on hiring a beautiful woman as the receptionist. Because, the receptionist should be the flower of the company. If she's not pretty, the visitors will be put off. Tell that to the president. Thinking I was just the president's secretary, he had pushed this beauty policy on me. And so Holly was chosen. Indeed, every receptionist I see sitting at their desks is beautiful, so it probably does improve the image. I had thought this carelessly, never imagining it would turn out this way. Remarry? How? You're married, aren't you? Oh boy, I can't remarry without divorcing first, so obviously I'm going to divorce. You intend to divorce me? Yeah, of course. You're really gloomy, and you're not right for me. What suits me is a bright and charming woman like this. Is that so? His words were so nonchalant, I didn't know how to respond. And as the president, I couldn't afford to scream and cry. Well, congratulations then. Pride took over, and I ended up saying something that sounded like I was condoning his affair. I left the scene and headed home, to a house I doubted my husband would return to. Once home, I entered the bedroom and sat down, stunned. Then the scene replayed in my mind. Holly's arm entwined with my husband's. My husband's face, gleaming with joy. Holly pointed at a brand store and said she wanted something from there. My husband nodded in agreement. The gloomy and unfriendly woman, he said. So, I wasn't loved after all. It was only me who loved, while my husband, Simon, saw me that way. Now I understand why my husband had been cold to me. If he's in a relationship with such a beautiful woman, I can understand him becoming cold. And if he's thinking about remarriage, there's no way he could love me. All I had was the profile of being the president's daughter. He was attracted to that and married me just for it. What a sad marriage it was. I never imagined it would turn out this way when we first got married. He was kind, always giving me plenty of sweet words. When I fretted over small things, he reassured me, saying they weren't worth worrying about, and dispelled my anxieties. How happy that made me. As long as the president was at the office, I, his secretary, couldn't leave either. Believing such lies, my husband used to prepare meals for me. That stopped once we started living with my in-laws. A wife's job is to cook. It's wrong not to take care of the house just because you have a job. I thought he said that, and when I came home tired, I found meals delivered on the table, all plates empty. There was nothing left for me. My husband and in-laws seemed satisfied, lounging in front of the TV. In the end, it was my job to clean up the dirty dishes, and the trash can was stuffed with boxes I had never seen before. It was heartbreaking and confusing, why I was the only one to suffer like this. I couldn't understand it anymore. But realizing the reason lay in his infidelity, I thought I couldn't let it go. That's right, I should talk to Dad. Dad, the chairman, will surely have a good idea. I grabbed my bag again, and glancing at my in-laws rolling in front of the TV in the living room, I rushed out of the house. The next day, I summoned my husband to the president's office. Thinking the president was his father-in-law, he appeared in the president's office with a broad smile. Huh? Where's your father? Dad's in the chairman's office. Why are you here? This is the president's office. It's strange for you, the secretary, to be sitting in that chair. Even if we're family, not just anyone can sit in the president's chair. Only someone like me, the future president, should. You, a regular employee, are going to be the president? I'm just a regular employee now, but I'm your husband, so naturally. Really? But my father is sitting in the chairman's chair, in the chairman's office. Wait, does that mean someone else is sitting in the president's chair? The person in front of you is sitting here. What are you talking about? You're just the president's secretary. How long will you keep thinking that? What? I am the president. Excuse me? What are you talking about, a woman like you being the president? That can't be true. If that were the case, this company would be bankrupt. But the company hasn't gone bankrupt, has it? They say a woman can't handle being a president, that a woman can't do a decent job, but here I am, effectively running the company as the president. I don't understand. Why don't you just admit it? You're joking, right? I displayed the company's homepage on the computer screen and showed it to my husband. There, my photo was displayed, labeled as the CEO. What the heck, even the homepage is wrong. You better get that fixed soon. You still don't believe it, do you? You might not want to believe that your wife is the president, but this is the fact. I pointed to the nameplate on my desk, where the title CEO was clearly. Of course, it's written there as Margaret Anderson. No way. It looks like you finally believe it. So, that means I can just enjoy life from now on. What are you talking about? You said you wanted a divorce yesterday. No, that was just. Then. I am assigning you to a different position. What? A transfer? Why would that happen? You've been unfaithful, and you're talking about divorce, so it's only natural you face some consequences. If I get transferred, I can't become the president. President? Why do you think you could become the president? I'm your husband, aren't I? That's true. Aren't we in need of a future president? You seem to forget something important. I am younger than you, which means I'll probably live longer. So, we don't need a next president. I married you so I could become the president. But if you're set on divorce, there's no way you could become the president, right? No, just because we're divorced doesn't mean that. You're so carefree. I never intended to make you the president in the first place. And you want to remarry her, right? If I'm around, that would be inconvenient for you, so I'll give you a divorce. Here you go. The divorce papers are already signed. I placed the filled-out divorce papers in front of my husband. But realizing that signing them would be final, my husband seemed unable to reach for the divorce papers immediately. Even if you don't accept them now, I'll proceed with the divorce through a lawyer. I no longer recognize you as my husband. If Holly finds out I can't become the president anymore, she might dump me. How can you say such a thing in front of your wife? If you want to remarry her, you have no choice but to divorce me. Or do you intend to keep her as your mistress? Even if so, I'm divorcing you anyway. Well, it's not easy to find such a beauty. Then, you have no choice but to divorce. Anyway, I'm going through with the divorce, so you can remarry or do whatever you like. Worrying won't change the outcome. It also won't change the fact that you're being transferred to a subcontractor transport company. To a transport company? Yes, you've betrayed a wife who is also a president, so it's only fair. This conversation is over. Please call your girlfriend next. Call her for what? She'll be transferred to another department. You're trying to separate us? Whether you drift apart is your own issue. You've caused this mess, so of course, there are consequences. This is a company decision, so no matter what you say, it's pointless. Please, don't be too harsh on her. I'm not being harsh. I'm just doing what's necessary. Now, call her in. As I yelled that, Simon slumped his shoulders and left the CEO's office. Next to enter was the receptionist, Holly. Huh? Why is the wife here? Can't you believe I'm the president too? Well, Simon said that the wife being the president must be a typo. Whether you believe it or not, I don't care. You tried to steal the president's husband, so I'm assigning you to the factory. The factory? Why? Why does a beauty like me have to go to the factory? Is there a problem with a beauty working at the factory? But factories are not places for old ladies and old men. That's not true at all. What misunderstanding are you under? I hate it. It's a joke to send me to the factory. Even so, our relationship won't end. I don't care if it ends or not. I've already given him the divorce papers. If you want to remarry, go ahead. Really? Yes. So, I can marry the heir? The heir? Yes, marrying him means I'll eventually become the president of this company. We might not be able to right now, given the current situation, but once things cool down, he's bound to become the president since he's the president's son. You seem to be under a big misconception. But, that's fine. Are you serious though? Do you really love him? Of course. I wonder if it's just because he's the heir. If you love him that much, you'll be able to endure it. Endure? What do you mean? Hasn't he told you anything? Told me what? He lives with his parents. That means I used to live with my in-laws. The in-laws are big spenders and never cook for themselves. So, you'll have to cook all the meals or opt for delivery. As the president, I often came home late, so the in-laws ordered delivery almost every day. Well, I don't think delivery is a bad thing. But his salary won't be enough to cover the payments. But we've managed until now. Because I had an income. Oh. Things were possible because I was the president. So now, you'll have to make sure to cook every day, or it will be tough. He'll do it, for sure. That's what you think. He doesn't do anything at home. He thinks housework is a woman's job. Even if the trash is scattered around, he won't bother picking it up. Really? Well, that's fine. You get to live in that big house, after all. House. Yes, that house was bought with his salary, wasn't it? So even if you divorce, I won't give that house to you. There'll be no division of property. Huh, is that what you think? Of course. Well, okay. You'll see soon enough. Just watch out for his parents' spending habits. I'm not involved anymore. I'm sure he'll handle it. After all, they're his parents. It has nothing to do with me. And if you like delivery, it's easy. I like delivery too. Besides, a beauty like me shouldn't have to do kitchen work and ruin my hands. It's unthinkable. Is that what you think? I hope that mindset doesn't change. You're just trying to scare me, aren't you? What? Jealousy in women can be frightening. But, thank you for letting me know you're divorced. So, can we pretend the transfer to the factory never happened? I won't go to the factory, and I'm quitting the company. Quitting? Yes, why should I work hard if I can marry the heir? I don't need to work, I'm about to debut in society. Wow, that's incredibly optimistic. Well, okay. She said, I'll submit my resignation, and then she left the CEO's office. However, despite her confident words, my comments seemed to have struck a nerve. That night, she confided her worries to Simon. Hey, don't you have something to say? What? No, nothing. They told me I was transferred, but what about you? Oh, I stayed at the headquarters because I'm the president's son. So, your life doesn't change at all? Of course not. I'm the heir, after all. Who else is going to be the next president? But now the wife was the president, right? Yeah, that. That was because of this situation. For now, they let her be the president until things cool down, and then I'll be the president. Company management involves a lot of external issues. But don't worry, she was just my wife because of her position. After we divorce, she won't have a place here anymore. There's nothing to worry about. Really? Yeah, really. That's good to hear. I quit because they said I would be working in the factory. What? Because a beauty like me shouldn't be in a factory, right? Yeah, that's right. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. After all, I am the heir. It was just harassment from her, wasn't it? Huh? Her, you mean Margaret? Yes, she called me in today and said a lot. But there's nothing to worry about, right? Because what you say has always been consistent. You being the heir is an unshakable fact, right? Yeah, of course. Holly looked at Simon with joy, but just then, Simon's phone rang. Picking it up and seeing my name on the screen, he tapped the answer button. What now, at this hour? Sorry to interrupt your fun time. But it's important. What is it? You need to move out of the house within a week. What? Why? I'm giving the house back to my father. Why? We're divorced, and it would be troublesome if you stayed. Can't I just keep living there? That's not possible, the house belongs to my father. Why does it have to be that way? Didn't you give it to me? He was just lending it to us. We were newlyweds and, being the president, living in a shabby house would have been pitiful, so he bought and lent us that house. But now that we're divorced, he thinks I wouldn't want to live in a house full of memories. I don't mind living in a house full of memories at all. You don't have the right to live there, it's my father's property. If you really want to stay, you'll need to talk to him. We lived there together, it should be part of our joint property. We should divide it. But the house was borrowed from my father. It's not part of the assets to divide. And everything in that house was also provided by him. However, I'm giving you all the money in your account, though it's not much. That's still better than losing half to me, right? That's true, but where am I supposed to go? Isn't there a room where your girlfriend lives? It's an apartment. That's not my problem. You chose that. Take your parents with you too. Oh. I forgot my parents were still there. Oh, that's tough. Come on, let my parents stay in the house. Your parents are your responsibility. You figure it out, it's none of my business. After saying that, the call was abruptly ended. A week later, Simon and his in-laws moved out. They moved to his girlfriend's apartment, of course. I assumed they were getting along fine as a family of 4. That was what I thought. However, 3 months later, Simon contacted me. This is just awful. Without any greetings, that's what he said when I answered the phone. Oh, what happened? She found out everything I told her was a lie. What you told her? What exactly? That I was an heir, the son of a president, still working at the headquarters, and would someday become the president, despite being sent to the distribution center. What? That's a huge lie. In fact, it's all lies. I couldn't help it. I don't see how you couldn't. I thought I should marry her before she found out about the lies. Once we're married, it wouldn't be easy for her to leave, even if she discovers the truth. So, you did marry her, right? That's the thing, she refused. And she started complaining about how unbearable it was to have 4 adults in such a small apartment. She said if we were to get married, I'd have to sort out the house situation. Well, that makes sense. You used to say that house was yours, but as soon as we got divorced, you started saying it's strange to let go of the house. If you were really an heir, you should be able to handle a house. Yeah, that makes sense. Why do we have to live in such a small apartment if you're so rich? She was furious about it. So, I told her living in an apartment was my dream because we always lived in a big house, but she said she hated how small it is. Of course, she would say that. And now my parents are saying, how long do we have to stay in this cramped place? I told them to wait because the new house is being built, but then she demanded to see the new house under construction. I told her she should trust me. It's crazy to trust you, you're full of lies. I've been told something similar. It's amazing how you can keep piling up lies. Why not become a con artist? That's a terrible thing to say. So, she left you? Yeah, finally she reached her breaking point and said, let's live together again once the house is finished, and kicked me out. Wow, kicked out, huh? So now I have nowhere to go. My parents are with me, what should I do? I don't know. My parents are old, I can't make them sleep outside. Maybe stay in a really cheap motel? They are elderly. They can't do that. Plus, all our stuff got thrown out too. What a heartless woman. I don't know what to tell you. You reap what you sow. Instead of blaming others, you should reflect on your own actions. Look, I can't marry her without a house. Let us live in that house. If this continues, my parents might get sick. There's nothing I can do about that. Please help me, I'm begging you. Should I rent it to you for $10,000 a month then? $10,000 a month? That's impossible. How much do you think I make? Before the transfer, you were making about $6,000, right? Now, since you're just doing dispatch work, it's about $4,000, I suppose. Yes, that's right. My salary has dropped by $2,000. But it's easier, right? Yeah, it's easier. You wanted to live an easy life, right? So, it's perfect for you. But with a salary of $4,000, there's no way I can afford $10,000. That's why an apartment would be just right for you. Even if the salary fits, the space definitely doesn't. You know that. There are 4 of us, my parents and my girlfriend. That house is the best option for us. Well, if you can pay $10,000, I'll rent it to you. That's ridiculous. I can't do that. Then you'll just have to give up. You have to figure it out on your own. I'm asking for help because I can't figure it out. And my parents are spending wildly. They even want to stay at luxury hotels now. They got used to spending money using my card. They were poor once, it's tough now. Yeah, that's right. Why did they start spending so much? When I was a kid, we saved everything. If I left the water running, I got scolded. If I left food on my plate, the same side dish would appear every day until I ate it. Eventually, it would dry out. We saved so much back then, how did it come to this? That's because they used my card. Plus, it's a platinum card, so it's unlimited. Your card was mine, right? Did you ever get a bill? You never paid anything, I covered all the payments. Is that right? Yeah, I've been taking care of everything without burdening you. You could act all high and mighty because you didn't know anything. I was trying hard thinking they were your parents. Got it. Let's get married again. What? If you marry me, I won't have money troubles. I'll put up with you even if you're gloomy or unfriendly. What about your girlfriend? She can just be the mistress. Oh, you're not marrying her? No way. She's too selfish. She looks good, but her personality is awful. You really are a better match for me. Let's remarry and start over. Is that so? Right now, Holly is here with me. She's listening to everything on speaker mode. What? Why is Holly there? She couldn't believe what you were saying anymore, whether it was true or false, so she came to me to check. So, everything you just said, she heard it all. Holly, it's all a misunderstanding. I love you. Cut it out. You liar. Holly had finally realized Simon's lies and was furiously yelling that they were breaking up. After that, Simon tried various ways to get back with her. Angry at his persistence, Holly wanted to get back at Simon and came to me with a plan. So I suggested, how about I file for damages against both of you? You can pass your damages on to Simon and then break up with him. She loved the idea and pushed the claim for damages onto Simon, then left him. But breaking up wasn't enough, he kept following her. So, she pushed the claim for damages on him and moved to another state. After Holly completed her move, I contacted Simon to tell him, Holly said to bill you for damages, so please pay up. If you can't, I'll garnish your wages. He was crying about how absurd that was. He kept begging, please help me, I want to get back together, but I firmly rejected him, saying, it's none of my business since we're divorced. Despite that, his parents' spending habits didn't improve, and with monthly bills plus damages, he ended up working 2 jobs day and night, and he's thinned down considerably. As for me, after breaking up, I moved back home. It relieved my stress, and I was no longer distracted by personal issues. Recently, I have been blessed with a kindred business partner and am living the happiest of days.